What's up, guys? Misha here from Beyond the Huddle, and welcome to this week's altcoin forecast. And as always, before we get into the altcoin, which is going to be Ethereum, we're going to do a quick recap of what has happened on Bitcoin. We'll talk about the Fed meeting that happened yesterday, and then we'll get into Ethereum. So without further ado, guys, let's go ahead and let's jump right into it. All right, guys, we are now looking at BTC on a weekly time frame. And the key element here that we're going to be paying attention to is going to be the asset manager shorts. That's the main thing that I'm looking at when it comes to BTC. Obviously, we've had the FOMC press conference yesterday, and the Fed are pretty much doubling down on their plan to start a rate hike cycle in March. So overall, in the macro perspective, nothing's really changed. We're still expecting more strength on the dollar, which is what we're currently seeing, and probably more weakness on the risk assets. But we still have to follow what exactly smart money is doing. I could have my own interpretation of what should happen, but if the asset managers decide to start decreasing their shorts, then I have to switch my bias. So overall bias is I'm expecting more continuation to the downside. Now, I did expect a bounce off of this weekly demand here. And if I go into my daily time frame, if I go here, we can see that I was expecting a bounce up to this weekly supply, which we did not get. We actually stopped at a 4-hour supply around here, and now we're retesting this week's level. So going down into a lower time frame, you guys can see that we are within last week's value, and last week's value low lines up with this level right here. Guys, if we break below this level right here, I will be expecting continuation to the downside. If we're unable to break this, then maybe we consolidate around here and potentially reach for this weekly supply. So it's going to be very important to take a look at what the data shows us tomorrow for the COT, so we have a better idea of how the asset managers are actually positioning themselves for this next move in the markets. Are they expecting more downside with still keeping their shorts high, or are they expecting a potential bottom in the market by reducing their shorts? But overall, if I look at all the data points that we have at the moment, I would have to favor the downside over the upside, because we have asset managers heavily short, above average, and we are also below our monthly level right here. So again, we're above the weekly, below the monthly. That's sell the rally scenario, which is what could have happened right here at this 4-hour supply. So that's what I'm seeing on BTC, guys. And again, if we drop, I'm expecting us to come down to this 2021 value area low right here at about 30K. And my upside target still stays the same if we're going to continue higher. Weekly supply 39.6K. So that's going to be it for BTC, guys. Now let's go ahead and take a look at Ethereum. All right, guys, we are now looking at Ethereum, and this is a weekly time frame, and I'm looking at the COT percentage longs and shorts, and we can see that asset managers are actually heavily short on Ethereum, as I mentioned in last week's video, and that's the main difference between Ethereum and BTC. On BTC, what we're seeing is they are more long than short, but they still have above average shorts. On Ethereum, not only are they more long than short, they obviously have above average shorts. So we're going to need to see this decline if we're going to see a bottom. I know we hit our weekly demand right here, and we are seeing a bounce, which we're expecting. But at the same time, this is not the right environment for us to see a bottom. We're going to need to see this go below average as it did around here in order for us to be able to see a bottom. You guys can see same thing happen here. Although right at the bottom, it wasn't already below average, but it was on a decline at the time. So that's what we're going to need to see if we're going to see a bottom on Ethereum. So now looking at the price action, we are going to start with Ethereum BTC before we even look at Ethereum USD. All right, so with Ethereum BTC, what are we looking at? Well, Ethereum BTC is in an interesting position right here, guys. We have just bounced off of this is not a daily, it's a 3-day demand right here. I'm not sure why I put daily demand. It was a 3-day demand area. We are seeing a bounce off of it, but as we're bouncing off of it, we are coming back into this daily supply right here. Now we have a weekly supply right here, so there's potential for a move to the upside before continuing to the downside, or straight up reversal right here, but that's not what I am expecting, and you guys will see why as I'll show you guys what's going on the lower time frames. Now, as far as downside targets, we obviously have last year's value area high right here. If we look at or BTH volume profile here, we can see last year's value area high is right there, and then we also have this daily demand right here. So these are some of the targets that I would have to the downside. And why am I expecting more downside here? Well, if you guys remember from last week, I was talking about the previous week's value area low right here acting as resistance, and we saw price reject off of it, continue to the downside, very aggressive move to the downside, as we always expect whenever we go below a value area. There's thin liquidity, not a lot of support, easier for price to slide, and that's what we saw. Now look at what's going on again this week. Same exact pattern. Previous week's value area low right here, you guys can see we used it as resistance at the beginning of the week, dropped to that daily demand, which again is a 3-day demand, and then we saw a move back higher, retesting that area again. We're still unable to break that, and we are seeing continuation to the downside. So I would most likely expect price to continue going lower. I don't really see how we would be going back to the upside on this pair right here at the moment. Looking at the 3-day profiles, we can see 3 days point of control, use it as resistance, boom, move back down. So the only way I could see a move up in this pair would be if we were to reclaim back above this area right here and go back within last week's value, which is very unlikely at the moment. So I'm more likely to think that we're going to come down into these areas right here, at least retest this, and very likely come down into this level right here. So that's what I'm seeing on ETHBTC. Now let's go ahead and take a look at ETHUSD. Okay, so ETHUSD, what are we looking at? Well, we're looking at a very similar situation to BTC, where we had a bounce off of the weekly demand right here, and we saw a move higher. Now I was expecting us to come up to this weekly supply right here, but we actually found resistance before even getting to that level. So when we break this down into a lower time frame, you guys can see that you had swing high, swing low. I was expecting potentially a premium up to that weekly supply right here, but we did not actually see that. Now we are starting to see a movement back to the downside, and if we look at our weekly volume profile, we can see that we are within last week's value area, so we could potentially see consolidation within this area. But more importantly, when we go down into our 3-day profiles, look at what we're seeing here, guys. We have this 3-day value area low right here, which is still a naked level, and we could potentially see price come down into this area. That's what I would be targeting at the moment. But if we don't bounce off of this level, if we see this level get broken, then I would expect prices to continue to the downside, because obviously there isn't much support down here, very thin liquidity. We're going to see price could easily slide through these levels down, back down into this weekly demand. But more importantly, once you break that weekly demand, what am I targeting? Well, I'm pretty much targeting last year's point of control here, which is at about 1850. That's the area that we'll be targeting on Ethereum. So definitely not bullish at the moment. We saw with the fundamentals how with the Fed meeting, how they're doubling down on their plans to raise interest rates in March. And we're also seeing with the asset managers, especially with Ethereum, they're completely net short on Ethereum. So definitely not bullish at the moment. But obviously, we're going to have to pay very close attention to tomorrow's report, because everything could change in an instant, guys. That's how markets work. Markets move really, really fast, and we always have to be adapting to the latest data that we have. So yeah, guys, that's going to be it for today's video. Hope you guys got value from this. If you did, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, click the notification bell so you can get notified every time we drop a new video. And we also have links down below in the description if you're interested in our volume profile indicators, or COT, and all the other indicators that we use here at Beyond the Huddle. There is a 7-day free trial that you guys can get to try out all our indicator suite. So you guys can go ahead, click the link down below in the description, and you can get access to that. There's also a link for our Discord server if you want to come in, interact with us, talk about crypto, post charts, etc. There's going to be a link down below for that as well. It's completely free. And then we also have our intro course and our premium membership that can give you access to our advanced course. So all of that stuff, guys, is going to be down below in the description. Go ahead, check it out, and I will see you all in the next video. Peace.